Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weekly Steelchair. And of course, it's our Survivor Series and Full Gear Fallout show. So this is where it's going to be fun. You got preview of Survivor Series, you got a Fallout of Full Gear, you've got Eilidh on a quiz, you've got me doing the watch along tonight, and you've got one other thing. What was it? There is one other thing on my mind. War games. Of course, it's your host Reece and my co-host Eilidh. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been a quiet Saturday, so we're just chilling, and of course tonight less quiet. I'm not going to be able to watch it live, so Reece will be. I mean, unless you can fly in some support either in the live chat or beyond, fly in some support. You'll be flying solo on your watch along, but I will see the events of tonight's show tomorrow, much like I saw the events of Full Gear through the week, rather than the immediate, the live forecast or even immediately afterwards, because of course that's the joy of working Sundays. But now I'm doing all right. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm good actually. Good nice week at work. A few other good things, obviously, that have been preoccupying my time. Besides, obviously, our little. This is ours now. It's not even. This isn't my baby anymore. This is ours. The weekly Steelchair is it's full on you and me. It's always going to be yourself and me now. We will have the few odd guests.
That was almost romantic. That.
Yeah, well, not going to be full on. I do have a few guests. I have one guest tonight. Obviously, I did ask Eilidh. Eilidh said she can't make it. That's okay. Keen says he's stepping in, so Keen's going to be back on the Weekly Steelchair.
Oh, brilliant. Head honcho.
Yeah, not when I'm around. He's a head. I'll give him that. He's the head honcho of the channel, but he's not the head honcho of this show.
No, of course not. But you got to put respect on the man's name.
Yes.
No, that'll be good, guys. Definitely get involved in that. I'll say I would be there, but
absolutely. And we will have a few other people who've been on previous shows will be coming on to the Weekly Steelchairs will be joining me and Eilidh, so it won't just be a single show. A few of them might be a triple threat, could have a fatal four-way, but one thing's for sure is more's to come. More is definitely coming.
Of more to come, we're going to start with Full Gear. We said we weren't going to go match by match through it because, what was 13? I think there were 10 on the main card, 13 overall if you count pre-show. Yep. Don't even know what happened on the pre-show. I mean, I know that Ricky Starks because obviously he had a match on Dynamite this week, that final. Overall, the main takeaway from Full Gear is that there was one actually very good match on it. One that I would say is probably in the top matches of the year that I've seen. And I wasn't anticipating it going in, but MJF versus Jon Moxley delivered. That was a fantastic back and forth conflict. It was weird as well because the crowd didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know, okay, are we going to cheer MJF completely? Or, I mean, he's trying to fight heel, but MJF couldn't possibly fight heel. And Moxley very just sort of sharply molded himself into this heel that he hasn't been on AEW for a while.
Absolutely.
He hasn't been the hated one for a while. I'd argue maybe never. So he was, how do I take advantage of all this heat that I'm getting? And he starts going for MJF's knee and he won't let off the knee, and it's fantastic. And, the little stomps he's doing by getting the leverage off the bottom and middle rope, stuff like that, just classic heel offense, target that body part, and he didn't let go. And MJF with some amazing fire. I mean, the Heat Seeker is a fantastic move. Just so creative. It's like a pedigree through the ropes. But yeah, MJF, I did say it was going to happen, and it did happen because William Regal did turn on Jon Moxley, did give the win to MJF, and it was with the brass knucks, which I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think it was along those lines. What do you think of the main event, first of all? And we can work back a few preferred something else.
It was definitely, as you did say, and you did say that if MJF is going to win, then William Regal is going to turn on Moxley, and it's going to be the end of the Blackpool Combat Club, and it's going to be the start of something new. And that's ideally what William Regal was hinting at on Dynamite as well. I thought the main event was fantastic, but I said it last week, and I say it again, and Yeti Boys confirmed it for me. I said the match of the night for me was going to be Elite versus Death Triangle, and my team once again failed to deliver. They were excellent. Death Triangle were absolutely supreme, but we'll come to that very shortly. And also Hater versus Storm, very impressive as well. But the main event was the main event was absolutely fantastic. I like the mix and offense. I like the difference in the movement as well. I thought Moxley, I agree, Moxley going full heel actually made sense for the match as well, because the match flow, I don't think you could have had two men in this way working the same match. I think MJF is trying to work heel. He physically can't do it. He's trying to work babyface. He can't do it. He has to work in the middle fold, and that's what I like about it. And the movement itself of Moxley was full on heel, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was perfect how it fit him to a T, and I just loved the way the match ended. I was like, that'll do. Even though I had Moxley to retain, I had Moxley to retain it purely because next year's more about MJF, not about right now. I was still happy either way. Like either or got the win. Like I wasn't.
I think it was the last big chance before the start of 2023 that MJF could have won it. So he had to. I think MJF will do the same as he did with the Firm and say that he doesn't need Regal.
I think he'll try, but I don't think it would work in the end. I like the fact that it's all done over an email. I like the whole cryptic point of view. I'm telling you nothing. You're not privileged.
He's the sort of guy that can be on his own, though.
Oh, he could easily be on his own.
No, I think because if you want him to be face, he'll be attacked by 6 or 7 heels at a time, because that's how heel stables in AEW work.
And you can't have Regal.
And you can't just have him be on his own all the time, because then he'll never get the one up on them. He'd need backup. True. And if he's going to be heel, well, he doesn't his way of getting heat isn't getting booed.
Yeah.
Because they've tailored the fans to cheer whatever MJF does, even if it's heelish.
It's Steve Austin, 96, 97.
Why the crowd cheered Regal turning on Moxley. Because that crowd wanted to see it.
Chance.
That crowd want William Regal to be They want that pairing. Mm-hmm. So then even when this pairing... that's probably my main concern coming out of this.
Yeah.
Is MJF and Regal as a heel duo going to work? And if not, does it work as a face duo at all?
I don't think William Regal can do it as a babyface. He's been a good babyface before, but I purely think his role, his whole gimmick, the villain in a way in the movies, the villain always becomes the hero in the end. So Regal could effectively end the story in a different way. But I just think to be the true villain, he has to do it as a heel. But that's the question. What happens to the likes of Bryan Danielson? Like, how does he fit into it? Because he was protecting, obviously, William Regal on Dynamite. How's it going to fold?
Got his ready-made feud there, thankfully. Because I think he and Wheeler Yuta are probably going to go off into something now. Yeah, it's up, Abu.
This is a good point by Yeti Boy. I think you might agree with this. I think 100%, and that's Kingston.
Depending on location.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Hangman would actually get cheered over MJF.
At any point in Long Island, I think MJF's going to get cheered anyway, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Punk, even as a heel, was cheered in Chicago. So, No issue there. Punk was booed in Long Island in AEW because MJF was being cheered. That's fine. You can have your own thing. We're back to Bret Hart in Canada versus Bret Hart in the US. That sort of thing.
Exactly. Territory is key.
That's fine. But the issue with that is maybe Omega. Maybe you get booed against Kenny Omega, but then maybe not, because you don't know to what extent that fan base has been hurt by the Elite thing. Now, based on their entrance at Full Gear, I about said All Out, the fans don't really care by the wider scope of things, and the fans that booed the Elite were the ones in Chicago, and I think they were expecting it.
And that's hence why all the mug-offs that we mentioned last week about what could happen, that they'll do any form of cheap shot at The Miz. And obviously they did the buckshot lariat flop, they did the GTS, they did the bite-in, like they did all that because it's symbolic and it does get the heat. This is an interesting one by a bull. I will get hated for this, but MJF reminds me of the messed up version of The Miz. Messed up version. So you're talking about The Miz from 2016, 2017 when they went to SmackDown Live? Because obviously he was messy up here and like his look, but at that time, I might say it's an underrated comment. Apart from Seth Rollins, I think The Miz in 2016-17 was and AJ Styles. The Miz was actually the best thing in WWE.
Miz had one of the matches of the year, and I think it was 2017. It was 2017 and 2016, but it was the Intercontinental title against Ziggler, where Ziggler's career was on the line.
Yeah, Backlash was a good one. I liked the ladder match they had as well. I thought that was excellent, but the back...
Yeah, no, it was a really good feud. Really good feud. But that moment where he wins with the super kick after his boot's been taken off, classic babyface logic right there. I mean, you have to look past the fact that would actually hurt less. But, you look past that, it's a really good match. Elite in Chicago were brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what CM Punk has to say about it.
Nothing you can do. Anyway, nobody cares.
I wonder if there's going to be a legal mess coming out of it. I don't know.
I thought so. 16, 17.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, yeah, Miz.
That messy fringe. Like, that whole...
Miz was on top of his game 16, 17, and even 2018.
You know what was the only thing that was wrong with that period for The Miz? The only thing that didn't go his way. I think he had 4 or 5 IC title reigns across 2 brands. He didn't win a single WWE title.
Yeah, but it was never. That was the whole point. The never-ending Intercontinental title World Tour.
Yeah, that was amazing. I'm saying just how good he was in that period, though. Apart from Rollins and Styles.
Yeah, no. And the thing, I wonder if him winning Money in the Bank and then getting that week-long WWE title reign was nothing more than just, we need someone to give it to, and Miz would deserve it based on his tenure. Anyway, I don't think MJF reminds me much of the Miz.
It's an interesting comparison.
Certainly in ways, but when it comes to in-ring, absolutely not. Because you wouldn't catch Miz using a quarter of those moves. CM Punk's a child. Yeah, boy. We spoke about Punk on this show in the past 2 months, where I think I said pretty much that.
He's actually returned to the MMA world. He's actually a commentator, and his long hair is absolutely disgusting. He's got a mullet.
Yeah, I think he's gonna call out for some legal mess. But anyway, MJF doesn't need to worry about that. The Elite are the ones who need to worry about that. So I'm just trying to. Here's my main problem. I watched Dynamite,
as you do,
to follow it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. Outside of the Elite thing, I'm not sure what actually mattered yet. So we saw that Ricky Starks has won, and he's gonna. So he managed to beat Ethan Page.
Very good match.
It was a good match. He's going to have the match at Winter is Coming against MJF. Now, we know he's not going to win that.
No.
I feel like Ethan Page was more of a mystery.
Yeah.
And Ethan Page could have just built a feud with MJF. We could have went from there. And it was almost like Ethan Page was such an obvious tournament winner that they had to not do that.
Agreed.
So, but outside of that, I mean, what would you say the main... We're obviously not coming up to Revolution. because that's in February. So we just have to talk about this sort of in between point where we'll have Winter is Coming, and we'll have the
Not yet. Not
well,
yet.
House of Black returning is obviously a big thing, but I mean they returned against a bunch of no ones, so
They
not
can't
sure
face
what
the
they're
Elite
actually
yet.
looking to do yet.
They have to-
No, because they're going to wait till it gets 2 or 3-3, and then House of Black are going to break up the best 7.
Yeah, and we already know who they're going to dismantle.
Probably
They're going to
both.
They're going to dismantle both teams, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
probably
think
both.
I'm hoping though, after my boys being 2-0, I'm hoping it still ends with Death Triangle retain the titles, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Elite will walk away. But what I will say though is, it would be interesting if you do get it back to 3-3, you get a decider, like the deciding match. The match ends in a no contest, and then all of a sudden you get a triple threat tag title match for the triple tag titles.
They
House of
need to
Black
give a
versus Death
whole
Triangle
episode
versus Elite.
to just that.
Yeah. And I
Which,
would
I mean, we have seen them give an hour of TV to a match before, because of course they did. I believe it was at Winter is Coming, actually. Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson. Britt Baker starting to feud with Hater. But Moxley obviously wants to kill Regal, and the less said about Chris Jericho fighting anyone they fly in from Japan, the better, because it doesn't mean anything.
It was a very good match, though. I liked the way that
I didn't bother. I honestly didn't, but I saw who it was and just went, I'm not.
I actually recommend watching, like, see the last, like, you know, like, because Dynamite not in WWE, they obviously.
Because I'm guessing what they did is, right, they stood at opposite sides of the ring and chopped each other.
Oh, there was some serious chops, like, Jericho was physically bleeding out of his chest, but
Danielson's killed the chop for me. Danielson versus Suzuki killed the chop for me. I don't need to see it. Outside of Gunther using 2 or 3 a match, I'm like, all right, I can deal with that. But when it's like, I'm going to stand here for 5 minutes and we'll just exchange slaps to the chest back and forward, it's like, this isn't wrestling.
But they did work a good match, and it did conclude with 2 walls of Jericho, but the second one, it was classic Lion Tamer. Ishii tapped out with his middle finger. And I mean, he gave it to Jericho and then he tapped out. Like, he didn't even tap with a full hand, which was even more interesting.
Is Ishii smart enough to the business to do that as a shot at Kevin Owens?
I don't think it's a shot at Kevin Owens, realistically. It's just the fact that it's just defiance, really, but didn't really work well.
Serious I hope Pac hitting Phoenix with a hammer. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing tension now, as it's 2-0 to Death Triangle. So, but they're the ones that are falling apart. The Elite still seem to be pretty fine with it.
Yeah, Pentagon Jr. is trying everything he can to keep this group together. It was clear and obviously they would never have went 2-0 up if it wasn't for Pentagon Jr. hitting. Which member of the Bucks was it? Because they both looked the same. But he hit one of the Bucks in the back of the head.
One of the Jacksons were hit with a hammer.
I think it was Matt Jackson. But either way, he hit him in the back of the head with a hammer, and that's where they got the pin. It did change from there.
I can't even tell them apart when they're like in matches.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes.
But if he does turn on Phoenix and Pentagon Jr., it will give me the Lucha Brothers back. As I said on last week's show, I said I'd be okay with Pac turning on Death Triangle, even though it's my favorite triple team. It would give me the match of 2023 that I actually want to see. It would give me Pac versus Pentagon Jr.
It's a good match, and it probably deserves to be for a title, but that probably won't happen. Anyway, speaking of turning things on, are you going to be turning on? Well, you are. You'll be turning on the network tonight. Well, tomorrow morning, 1 a.m., unless it's a 12 o'clock start, which it might be.
I won't be doing that bloody pre-show. Don't worry. I'll be doing
Survivor Series. I was going to do, War Games. Survivor Series.
No. Hold on. I'm going to drop myself out. The floor is yours. You're going to have the full thing. So 3, 2.
What? What are you doing?
Do
Survivor Series War Games. I don't know what he's trying to do.
I'm giving you the full script to
William Regal impression.
I'm giving you the full script to the impression. Go on, do it.
It's
Just do it once.
not happening online. It's not
Why
happening. Because there's certain things that will live on the internet forever, and that would be one of them. Abdulazad there. Just imagine I've said it like Regal. It's War Games tonight. We're going to be reviewing...
War Games!
There you
go. There you go. Stuff the
lawyers. So, reviewing this show, running down the card. Reece, have you got it for the lovely people?
I do have it written down, but I will share my screen as well because I do have it on a tab as well. So I'm going to bring it
on the screen. That way the people don't need to be looking away at something else. Because why would you want your eyes anywhere else? You certainly wouldn't want your ears anywhere else. So even if you are in the middle of doing some Saturday cleaning or some cooking, or you're just chilling out, you're listening to the Weekly Steelchair. So 5 matches, which, when we talk about Full Gear having 10 on the main card and 13 overall, 5 is a blessing. And then you think about what 2 of the matches are, and you know that this still isn't going to be it's not going to be a short show, is it?
No, this is going to be about 3-4 hours. But I think the War Games matches are
3.5.
The War Games matches have got to be at least 40 minutes each.
Yeah, I think the Bloodline one's getting an hour.
Round about that, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just pure timing. And I'm actually going to take predictions down as well for each one. So we're just going to do it as that.
Yeah,
so
these predictions will be easier to track. So, of course, we did do predictions for Full Gear, but, you could probably go listen back to the show and work out for yourself who won. I know that we each got certain things wrong. I obviously predicted Britt Baker. I predicted that it would be the Elite
not
win.
At all.
So, yeah, we definitely didn't get 100%, but I don't think we've ever done that.
No.
So we have a 5-match card here, and we're going to run it from the bottom to the top.
We are indeed, and it's what I think could be the match of the night. So
I'm wondering, what way are we wanting to do this? Are you wanting to take the mantle for the first? Should I? Which matches do you want to lead on?
I definitely want to lead with a triple threat. And then we work our way through, even though the second match I'm buzzing for as well. But for me, purely great. If this is not the starting match, I'll be very disappointed. Because I think if you want to get off to a flying start, you've got to put the most over character on Raw, the most impressive turnaround in Theory, and the dominant powerhouse of Lashley as the opener. I think that will get a lot of attention. Obviously, I'm expecting the opener to probably be the Women's War Games match.
Yeah. But, I was about to say, they'll probably open with the other War Games.
Yeah. If they do, then no problem. But I would honestly love it if the opener is this triple threat. Or at least the co-main event, like before the men's match. I'm loving the gimmick of Seth Rollins as US champion right now. I'm loving the way it's flowing. I love the fact that Bobby Lashley is toying between heel and babyface because obviously he's had humiliation after humiliation. He's had impressive performances, but he's losing simple matches that he should be losing. In theory, since the defeat with the Money in the Bank briefcase has come on heaps and bounds, in my opinion. I think he's changed his whole get up. The mobile phone's gone, the selfies are gone. It's about the here and now, and he's thinking, I'm sick of being a future this, I'm sick of being a future that. I want my US title back, and I am going to stop at nothing to reclaim it. But I also like the toying ways and the psychological effect of Seth Rollins and on promos. I love the interviews. I love the fact that he was toying, saying, I'm the one that asked for the match. Like, I love that build-up. So I think this is going to be a fantastic match, and this one better get at least 20 minutes. If not, I'm going to be absolutely fuming. Like this one, like Shotzi versus Rousey, I expect 2 minutes maximum because it's Rousey, even though I don't mind her. I want 2 minutes. sorry, Shotzi, but you don't deserve to be on the card. It should.
Whoa, easy now. We're jumping the gun.
Just saying, I don't think this should be on.
I don't know if you're jumping the Colton, the Austin, or the Billy, but you're certainly jumping the gun.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying I would give more time to Styles versus Balor and the triple threat, and I would not have that women's title match on the pay-per-view at all. I don't think it's good enough. But for me, brilliant triple threat, and I'm going straight away champion to retain.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it doesn't really make sense in my head for either Lashley or win this. It seems like more the sort of loss that would create some kind of issue for Theory if someone was to attack him or cost him, or if he and Lashley went into their own issue. I don't see why you give Seth Rollins the title to take it off him a month later and waste your Money in the Bank cash in. You'd at least hope that if the Money in the Bank's been used and Seth has seen that threat off, you would like to think that it's because Seth's getting at least a semi-decent length on this run. I don't think there's anyone else who's sort of desperately crying out to win the US title at the moment. I think it's in a good place around the waist of Seth freaking Rollins. And I think there's a lot more matches that he can have, and there are feuds and programs he can have, which will then elevate the other people on the show. For instance, if we go ahead and do a Street Profits breakup, Montez Ford's already had one good match with Seth Rollins, so there could be a second one there.
That's a good shout.
Outside of that, you could obviously elevate Ali, you could elevate Tommaso Ciampa, you could elevate Johnny Gargano. There are mouth-watering matches in the mid-card on Monday Night Raw, and that was a lot of alliteration. I think Seth freaking Rollins is going to retain. Who have I missed? It's probably quite obvious.
There's one other match, but it's annoying that it's not listed on Survivor Series when it should be. I would have Miz versus Dexter Lumis on. I would have Dexter Lumis versus Miz on Survivor Series. Lumis wins. Lumis versus Rollins.
Lumis, yeah.
I mean, very good match.
Once they work out what's going on with this Johnny Gargano thing. Hello.
Hello, gorgeous. Good to see you. So everyone, I'm waiting for Yeti Boy to give his prediction. Maze, get your predictions in as well. We're on the match 5, which is Rollins versus Lashley versus Theory.
Yeah, match 5 are way up. So you actually haven't missed much at all. So get your predictions in the comments, people. Seth freaking Rollins defends championship against Bob Lashley, the Almighty, and A-Town Down, Austin Theory.
Yep. So far, me, you, and Abul have gone for Rollins to retain. Maze, it's up to you. Honestly, go for anybody you like. There's no demand on it. If anything, it's just a bit of fun. Like we're not going to
recommend keeping it to the 3 people in the match.
Yes, of course. It's always good to laugh. You're not going to get any.
He said anyone you like. It's like, all right, Triple H to win.
True. Obviously, match number 2, it's Styles versus Balor, two of our personal favourites. It's going to be difficult to choose one, but over to you, co-host.
2 all-time greats. 2 absolute all-time greats. 2 pioneers of their sort of generation, and it's weird to say because they are around the same age, Styles isn't far off your John Cena's, your Randy Orton's in terms of age. He might be older than Randy Orton. I don't quite know.
Styles is 43, I think.
So they're around the same age then, because Orton's 44 now? And of course, worrying news about Randy Orton, so best wishes to the Viper.
Styles is actually 2 months younger than my mum. Styles is 45.
Oh, well, your mum want that on the internet?
No, she won't care.
Yeah, so Styles and Orton, they're around the same age. Styles and Cena, there's not a lot in that. But I think Styles belongs in that Edge, Cena, Orton type thing as the other guy, the guy for that other brand. Of course, we know what he was doing in TNA. And then at the same time, Finn Balor's 40, I think. 41
yeah,
maybe.
he's around that, yeah.
So, early to mid 40s guys, and two pioneers of their generation. AJ Styles, of course, for carrying the TNA banner for over a decade, and Finn Balor for pioneering the Bullet Club, which might still be slightly relevant today. We're not quite sure whatever happened to that Bullet Club thing. But also revolutionary matches in the late 2000s, the 2010s. He basically was one of the people that ran that decade. Of course, shows up in NXT. He's the Demon. It's revolutionary. It's a huge get for the NXT brand. And then he goes on to have a decent stint on the main roster. He certainly could have done better, but you could also say the same about AJ Styles. I think they're both in that same camp where they were so established that they didn't need a ridiculous push. Now, of course, they tried with Finn Balor because he was like mid-30s when he got his call up, and they tried to put the Universal title on him right away. They did. As bad luck would have it, he'd injure his shoulder in the same match. But in terms of generation here, Styles and Balor are two of the best belonging in that same mix.
Mm-hmm.
So this match is going to be unbelievable, is basically what I'm saying. The two rings always adds a dynamic. I think we can expect a phenomenal forearm attempt from sort of the middle part. Quite which ring you'll go for, I'm not sure. I think we can expect maybe some shotgun drop kick over the ropes would be cool. I think these two, I think these two will be able to treat the two rings as just, innovation station basically. And how creative can we be? I hope this match gets half an hour. I'm not sure it will, but I really does, because I think these two could have the match of the year, provided there isn't too much messing around on the outside. Quite frankly, if those two could brawl in the first 5 minutes and then everyone could get ejected from ringside, that would be ideal. Because then you'd have 20, 25 minutes left of just Finn Balor and AJ Styles one-on-one. Who's the better man? Who's the better wrestler? And of course, in WWE, it is Finn Balor 1, AJ Styles nil.
I was about to bring that up. They did have the TLC match that was unscripted, which was
as a result of the Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt got mumps or something.
Yeah, unfortunately.
At the same time that the Shield ended up being Seth, Dean, and Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm. Complete change.
Show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say I feel like Styles needs this. But
are you going to go with Abel? Abel said Balor.
It's so hard. I think Styles needs it. Otherwise, the OC have been nothing. Styles doesn't need the win, but I think Balor will. To be honest, neither of them really need a win.
This could end in a draw and it'd be perfectly fine.
If we look at the grand scheme of things, it's not like either of them are building towards anything. I mean, a draw, people would boo. Mm-hmm. We'd probably enjoy it, but a draw, people would boo.
Yeah.
I think if you look at what else could happen tonight, got healed. I'll say Styles. I think Styles gets this win. I think you have to make the OC at least look like you have to make Styles and the OC get at least one win. And of course, I thought they were going to win out in Saudi, and they did. So I don't think they did. I'm trying to remember.
No, Judgment Day won that.
Judgment Day won because that was before Mia Yim was there.
Yeah. Well, Meacham, I should say.
Meacham?
It's either Meacham or Meacham. It's one of the two. But either way, I like both. Same as yourself. I like both. I think both are generational talents in terms of their work, their gimmicks, their development. I think necessarily the fact that the score's already 1-0 gives Balor the edge where Styles has yet to beat me. And obviously Balor's the original Bullet Club leader. Styles obviously done version 2, which was just as good as the original. Version 3 was okay. And then Mark Scurll, who ruined everything for me because I like Mark Scurll. But in terms of WWE career, by far Styles had by far the more superior career in terms of the main roster. Overall, Balor's had a more well-rounded career because obviously he was 2-time NXT champion, the second longest reign of the title. purely fantastic run there, and obviously he reinvented himself on multiple occasions. I think I get Abel's point that Styles doesn't need to win. I actually think he does. And the reason I think he needs to get the win is purely what you said. The OC need to get a win. Otherwise, it just dismembers the point of why would you bring the OC back in the first place if you're just going to have them
the
job.
OC go into the same column as Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
sort of,
they should
you're back. I remember you. Why are you here?
Yeah, you shouldn't be there to job. You should be there to elevate the tag team division, get the best out of the feud you've got, where you'll get yourself a reward in the end, like Styles has done previously. So I'm also going with Styles.
Yeah. Obviously, with the turn, and you mix it, of course, with Mia Yim and perhaps rumors. Does everything open up for? I can't believe I'm saying. Everything open up for a Keith Lee return to WWE soon?
I hope not.
You hope not.
I don't rate him.
He'd be better with Triple H, though.
Probably. I just don't think he's that good. At least we got the turn that we sort of wanted at Full Gear in a way. We got what we wanted. He just walked out. But
Yeah, I look at that
Gear.
and I think AJ Styles and the OC, great. Mia Yim? I mean,
Well, Mia Yim does make sense. I mean, they can't put
I know
Keith
who
Lee
would make more sense.
Asuka.
I know who would make more sense than Asuka. Mickie James.
No.
I mean, if the OC came over from Impact, Mickie James coming with them would have been.
But so did Mia Yim.
Yeah, but Mickie James more established.
I suppose, but
Mickie James had appeared in the Rumble while still working for Impact.
I get that. I just think, all due respect to Mickie James, I think as good as she's been, I think that time is up. I think they need to go with somebody who's more on the cusp, who is actually improving her craft, who's getting better and better, and that's Mia Yim. But this is what I said months ago when I said I was annoyed that WWE was getting Chelsea Green. I would have preferred Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah,
I think Purrazzo in this group.
I think I said last week. I don't think she'll come back because of
how stupid WWE were towards her. Like if she didn't have her own personal issues, she didn't have the whole racist comments behind her as well. I actually think Tessa Blanchard would have worked in this. If she didn't have all the personal issues behind her, I think she could have worked for this because she is a fantastic worker.
Yeah,
I still think she's one of the top 3 workers, but she's just not the best people. She's like Sasha Banks. Great worker.
Frankie Monet would have been good.
Good shout.
Frankie Monet would have been good. Anyway, so I'm saying Styles.
I'm also saying Styles, yeah.
You're going with AJ Styles. And in the comments, obviously we had a Bull going Balor. I'd like to see Keith Lee back in WWE. Yeah, this is the thing. Triple H knows how to book him. So if you don't like, because I'm the same. I don't like Keith Lee now, but that's because he's not a Tony Khan. Like Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing with most people, but he doesn't know what he's doing with Keith Lee either. And remember that Keith Lee was the most over wrestler for a full year. Like to the point where Brock Lesnar sold his size.
Yeah, I mean,
Keith Lee almost beat Roman Reigns, and I think he did pin Seth Rollins in the Survivor Series. So
he did.
It came out to Roman versus Keith Lee. I think that shows what Triple H and WWE thought of Keith Lee. I found it a real head scratcher when he decided to make the move, and I can't think he's very happy. You know, I just can't think he's enjoying that. So again, I see the name Mia Yim, and I think, is there a chance? Maybe. Obviously, Britt Baker was able to lure Adam Cole the other way, so is that chance there? But yeah. Anyway, what there isn't a chance of, I sadly don't think, is this match being any good, because you got Ronda Rousey defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Shotzi. Do you want to go first?
This match shouldn't be on the card. Rousey would retain. Move on.
Trying to give it the The good old job treatment, sure.
No, I've got no issue with women's wrestling. I like women's wrestling, but I don't like this matchup at all. I would rather prefer Shayna Baszler versus Shotzi. I don't think there's any point. Like, yeah, but I just don't think there's any point in having Rousey go up against Shotzi. I don't think you're going to get anything credible out of this. I don't think you will. I genuinely feel sorry for Shotzi in this match. I don't think she's getting the best out of the two workers, in my opinion.
My problem with Ronda Rousey is it's, well, one of many. I mean, she's an idiot and she's
an asshole.
Yeah, she seems difficult to work with.
She's a narcissist.
She lost in MMA and went home crying, which is pretty much the popular opinion, was that she was the big girl in MMA. Someone bigger and tougher came along, beat her, and she was never the same. She lost Conor McGregor.
She lost to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, and rather than try for a rematch, she went home, got pregnant, and came back thinking she was all it, and then
Charlotte but also did interviews in that time about how it's fun playing with the others, and just here's the problem: it's like the Brock Lesnar thing, but Ronda Rousey talks more. Brock Lesnar, the whole thing was, it was more when Brock Lesnar first came back, so when he was feuding with John Cena. And he absolutely battered him and destroyed him. The idea, now that would make it interesting. And I wonder if there's a Charlotte return on the horizon.
There has to be.
You have to think that there is, because you have to think they're doing Ronda versus Charlotte. There will be a winner at WrestleMania.
There's only one other return they could have at this event. And I mentioned her name not too long ago. If this does not... This is in Boston.
She did just trademark a different name, though, didn't she?
Yeah, her real name.
I thought it was like part of her... I know it's called Mercedes, but I didn't think the second part was her actual name.
I think Mercedes got trademarked, yeah, although it's really funny. I do think Sasha Banks returning would be interesting.
Her hometown?
Well, no, I don't think so. Yeah, Boston.
Oh, right, the show's in her hometown. I was like, she trademarked her hometown? What? No, the show's in her hometown. That would make sense. I don't know. I don't know if she's actually coming back. I get the feeling... I would think Naomi's more likely to return than Sasha. But,
we're all screwed.
Never say never. Maybe Sasha and Triple H have sat down, worked something out. I would prefer to see Sasha over Charlotte, just because I really, really am sick of Charlotte. But as far as being sick of Ronda Rousey goes, and where I was going with the Brock Lesnar thing, Ronda Rousey's this whole, I came from MMA, so I'm a lot better than you. And I kind of eventually get sick of that being the champion's whole deal. I would much rather holding the wrestling title.
Yeah.
And Shotzi isn't the best challenger. Absolutely not. But I'm going to remove Ronda Rousey and say the SmackDown Women's Champion is Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae versus Shotzi Blackheart tonight. You'd give it 8 or 9 minutes, because something has to be a shorter match. But those two are capable of having a quick back and forth match. Either person could win. I'd personally keep it on Candice LeRae because I think she's fantastic. But you then have a wrestling match. This isn't going to be a wrestling match. This is going to be Shotzi's trying to survive. And on the Survivor Series, you'd think that's apt, but it comes on a card where 2 of the 5 matches are literally all about survival.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Have that narrative earlier in the night and later in the night. So I don't get why this match is here. There's no chance unless, as Abu says, unless Charlotte returns to cost Ronda and, we have a swerve, Ronda Rousey is going to retain.
Yeah. I think the only other thing you could have, though, is the beginning of the end of the team. Because eventually it's going to come to an end where Shayna Baszler will eventually turn on Ronda Rousey. And I've said it before. I think Shayna Baszler is so much better than Rousey at everything. Better worker, better on the mic,
I know,
has
but
a
then
more.
you're back to this. You're back to MMA versus MMA. Can we get a wrestler, please?
You will get the wrestling out of
It's like when
Baszler.
Brock Lesnar was going on to feud with Cain Velasquez. I'm like, why should I care? You're not in a
True.
cage. It's
But I
not
think
the octagon. I don't care.
when you do look at proper transitions, though, I think Shayna Baszler has transitioned a lot more and better than Rousey. She is, even though she does have the MMA background, you do get a genuine sense that she is a pro wrestler.
Shayna's
That's why
actual
I,
wrestling isn't bad, but you know that she would go more MMA.
yeah, if they had to
It's
do it
like,
again,
okay, if you're gonna do Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler for the title, do it in the octagon. Go
I
for
mean
it.
that would be
That's
a
the
cool
only
booking.
way that becomes watchable. I need
Or
that Iron
the
Brew mug. Thing is, it's actually just a cup from the hydro.
or even you booked it in the match that even if you booked Rousey versus Baszler in a fight pit.
Yeah, that would work. It's got that sort of MMA connotation. But as a wrestling match, I'm just like, oh, I don't care. But yeah, so I think
I still want to see Baszler get her dues and get the title. Like I still want to see Baszler get that
I
title
just
because I think
realised
she's
they rank the women's war games ahead of the men's. So I think we're gonna have to and talk about number one before we talk about number two on our screen here. So just to clear it up,
I think it's
both
because it was
saying
the first
Ronda.
confirmed match.
I mean, we've agreed on everything so far, Reece. This isn't
Yeah,
very compelling viewing.
it's not our fault. We've just got a similar taste. I do think though, in respect to it though, like I think the only reason Team Belair is there is because it's alphabetical order.
Yeah, it could be.
But I am expecting predictions here to potentially change. So, are we going to go with number one or no, or number two? We're going to
Start with
just we'll
number
do
one
predictions.
because we'll end on the bloodline.
That's fine. So we'll do. We'll just call it in like I'm doing it as a table. So we'll just do either Team Belair or Damage Control as the overall team because that's what it pretty much is. It is Team Damage Control and it's Team Brawl and Brutes versus the Bloodline. So I'll give you the women's one on that one. So what are you overall thinking of this one?
Okay. Well, obviously it's tough, but the order that things
right.
the order that things happen in might dictate what happens in another match or could come as a result of another match.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing I'm looking at, okay, is that Rhea Ripley and Mia Yim are apparently both going to be at ringside for the Styles and Balor stuff.
Yeah, they'll be there.
Now, I wonder if this War Games opens, if they're even going to be there, because they might be too banged up, and obviously they like to sell that the War Games injures pretty much everyone. So I don't think it'd be the case. Have the War Games, and then that match with those two there. So I think they've just assumed who's going to be at ringside. I wouldn't expect Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley to be there. Maybe Rhea Ripley appears at the end again because that's the only way Judgment Day can win a match, it seems. But anyway, in terms of the women's War Games, I think you have one team here that feels more like a team, and you have another team here which feels like they were scraping down the back of the couch looking for something to form a team. And then all of a sudden, Becky Lynch was ready to return, and they got the fifth person. And Becky Lynch adds some much needed star power to that team. But I can't see Team Belair winning this. And the reason is, I don't see how you're going to go and put the title or even create a feud for any one of these heel women to fight Bianca Belair if Team Belair win the War Games.
Yeah, there's only one member of Team Damage Control that we agree on that has got to get the victory tonight, and that's Rhea Ripley. She's got to pin the champion.
She could pin the champ, or she could pin Becky.
Either or. I think the massive statement probably is beating the champion.
Well, we've been waiting, and I think the Royal Rumble was a great chance to do it. I don't know how much longer you can hold off. If you can get to Mania and still keep Belair interesting, great. That's where you put Rhea Ripley in front of her. I think we're agreed, though, that the minute Rhea Ripley fights Bianca Belair for the title on the pay-per-view, the title changes hands.
100%.
You've got to take advantage of Rhea Ripley's position right now and how she feels more like the leader of the Judgment Day than anyone else, and how she just carries this persona. I mean, if you saw the Thanksgiving video
That was
WWE put
amazing.
out of Dominic and Rhea attacking Rey Mysterio at his house on Thanksgiving Day, Rhea Ripley to pin Belair to start the feud. Yeah, that's where I think we have to go, because I don't see what they do with Bianca in the meantime. And that's a shame, because Damage Control then needs something to do. And it feels like
They've
a
got
real
some-
wasted opportunity to not put a title on Bayley. But I'm pretty sure I said a while ago that you should have had Bayley beat Liv Morgan.
You did.
Then
And that's
Damage
why
Control should have been on SmackDown. Then you
Yeah.
could have Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair on Raw. But we can't go back in the time machine and fix that. So we have to deal with what we have now. And I think Rhea Ripley has to pin Bianca Belair so that we can get the Ripley Belair feud. And then over on SmackDown, Rousey just holds the belt. As far as what the losers do, I think Alexa Bliss has been teasing a heel turn.
she's
I
got
don't know if
to
it'll come tonight, but I think she'll turn on Asuka in the following weeks of Raw, and then that's a fun match they can do. I mean, would it get to the Rumble? Would it be that big an issue? I'd hope so, because I think those two could have a great match on a pay-per-view, 15, 20 minutes, absolutely.
Mia Yim could easily work with Cross.
Yeah, Mia Yim might have her own issues. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of OC and Judgment Day. Would Mia Yim be that constant little thing, maybe stops Ripley winning the first time? You know, there's a lot of ways they can go. And sadly, none of them really involve Damage Control. This thing that they built seems to already be lost in the shuffle a little bit.
I think there's one other thing you could do. I think there's
we
one
think
other.
it's a 1 o'clock start. It might be 12 because of the...
Yes. There'll be a pre-show, but the main show's 1.
Yeah, main show's at 1 a.m.
There's one other thing that could happen, and I did say it a couple of weeks ago. We did tease Alexa Bliss to turn heel.
Mm-hmm.
I also said you could potentially have Bayley be kicked out of Damage Control and Bianca Belair takes control. But what I also think you could do is I expect Rhea Ripley to win the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But Bayley could win the Royal Rumble and beat Ronda Rousey.
See, but I agree with the Bulls comment there that Asuka needs the monster push again. I'd have Asuka beat Ronda Rousey. Because Ronda Rousey's the MMA FU sort of person.
Mm-hmm.
And Asuka is a pure wrestler. Asuka is the wrestler of the women's division. In Japan, she had every sort of match with every sort of opponent, and everyone knows how good Asuka is.
But everyone also knows that Bayley is the best on Raw.
I mean, I would always say that Bianca Belair is better.
Bianca Belair is great. I'm not taking that away. I think Bianca Belair is amazing. But I think if you ask me pure on who is the best on Raw, for me, 100% Bayley.
I would have definitely done the turn that you pitched, by the way. Damage Control would be Bianca Belair, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky.
That would be horrifying to deal with. That's actually more credible than Bayley, and it's not Bayley's fault.
And then
Bayley worked better alone.
Team Bayley would actually feel more like the team NXT, because 4 of the 5 would have been in the same NXT crop, as opposed to Bayley, who was already gone, already called up by the time Kai and Sky and Cross and Ripley were there.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I suppose Nikki Cross a bit closer to the Bayley sort of thing, but she kind of crossed over. Anyway, I think we're both clear in what we're saying. Team Bayley, Team Damage Control, really to win, but Rhea Ripley will very much be the standout and the one to watch. It's a shame for Damage Control, but I think the overall direction they're going in is Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. So you're going damage control.
Yes. I believe that would be what you're saying, and I believe that is the consensus of our comments. So, Liam, Abul, and anyone else watching, if you want to chat your prediction in the comments for that one, and any of the matches you've not yet had the chance to predict. Seth Architect says, Becky looks skinny. I hope it won't affect her in-ring performance. Yeah, I don't think it will. Becky Lynch is just brilliant in the ring. I also think she's never been a powerhouse.
Yeah, she's
So
always
I
been.
don't think it's going to matter that she looks a bit skinny. Obviously, we hope that she's healed up enough, but we'd like to think that she's sensible enough to know she wouldn't have put herself in the sort of pot to return if she was genuinely carrying an injury anymore.
Yeah.
I think she's fantastic, and I think she performs best when she's the smaller one.
I agree. I completely agree, and you can see that as well. Like her performance is impressive. I've got mine, yours, and I've got Abel's predictions so far. So now it's. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the main event as well.
Oh, you're feeling generous on this day. I see clearly. So it's time for us to discuss match 2 on this list, but what we know pretty much will be the main event.
Yeah.
Nothing is guaranteed in this world, but Roman Reigns is on the card, and it's main event now. Yeah, Liam's saying he reckons it'll be a great show. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot to like about this show. Obviously, Triple H booking it's probably the main thing to like about it, because he'll be able to do this justice. It was obviously his idea to have War Games again. I think it's going to be brilliant. Yeah, I'm very excited to watch it tomorrow, because I'm not able to watch it live. But yeah, the Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch, along with Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. They're against the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, and the Usos, with Paul Heyman, though I'm not sure he can really do much in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, it's Paul Heyman, so maybe I shouldn't say that. This was built really strangely.
It was actually.
At least to begin with, when it turned out to be the Brutes and Drew, obviously there was that segment on SmackDown, that promo, which didn't really come off. We spoke about it on the show. What was much better was Kevin Owens, sort of revealing himself. And if you saw last night,
it was brilliant.
You saw the beginning of Kevin Owens trying to turn Sami Zayn's head by literally turning his head, throwing him into the ring. The ref ejected Sami Zayn, and it really clean. Kevin Owens hits the stunner on one of the Usos, and Sheamus hit the brogue kick, which then allowed Sheamus pick up the pin and the Brutes to get the advantage. We should also point out the heels have the advantage for the women.
Yeah, you couldn't have both teams have the advantage.
Yeah, and the Brutes have the advantage for the men's.
Yeah.
So I think that will be important. I think that will be important. Obviously, I think Roman Reigns will be the last man to enter. I would imagine that's going to be the case.
Yeah, especially he'll get to walk out as well. He won't be in the cage. He'll get full on walk out.
So the question here, the big one that it boils down to is this time for Sami Zayn to turn? Because the fans booed when he got ejected.
Yeah.
So the fans are very hot behind Sami Zayn at the moment.
And we know that Jey Uso heard the conversation between Owens and Zayn. And obviously, Sami Zayn doing the classic moment where he lies to Jey Uso, even though Jey knew he's talking shit.
Yeah.
So there is something there. I'm going to still go with what I said on last week's show. I think there will be a mix-up between Zayn and Jey Uso. We now have that seed planted. Even further, we've got that seed there where there's the lying part and the conversation where he's trying to turn them. I think there will be a mix-up between Owens, Zayn, and Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn will get the brunt of it, and he will take the pin. So there's my prediction. I'm going Brawling Brutes to win this purely over the fact that the seed is planted. It would be interesting creative if the Bloodline win this despite their differences, but I think because of how it's building, you cannot have the Bloodline win this because of that, unless they take out Sami midway during the match because they can't trust him, which could happen. Jey Uso could just turn flat around, just super kick him, and that's it. Like, he's out. And Reigns won't do anything about it. Reigns will support it. Whereas I do think in this one, the whole unity behind the Brutes, McIntyre and Owens, they're already planting seeds. They're playing the mind games with the opposition there. I think you could get that, and that's why I think you're going to have Owens get the decisive victory, because he's using friendship and he's using two teammates against each other. So that's what I'm thinking.
The interesting thing about inserting Kevin Owens is that then the next... I mean, obviously, this sounds ridiculous to say. Kevin Owens fought Roman Reigns for this belt over a year ago.
He did.
And
he's ducked since.
Yeah, that's quite ridiculous in itself. I was trying to think if it was actually over 2 years ago, but I don't.
2 years, because he faced him.
It was a Royal Rumble show. Yeah, it would have been. It would have been Royal Rumble 2020. 2020, yeah.
Yeah, last man standing, and the referee stopped the count.
Ludicrous that we can talk about a guy going for a title again 2 years later. It'll be 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that in itself is ridiculous, but have they inserted Kevin Owens here to turn Sami Zayn? That would be the obvious thing.
Would surprise me.
Or have they inserted Kevin Owens to make him the opponent for the Rumble in January? Because I thought they were going with Sheamus versus Roman.
So did I.
Which is why I think Sheamus will pin Jey Uso.
Yeah. I don't think
Sheamus has got to get the pin. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for Sheamus to be the next one in line for Roman Reigns.
Yeah. That's where it gets. Where it gets
Sheamus is like the obvious opponent.
Because Reigns is in this title reign. The only man he's actually not yet faced, to a degree, is Sheamus. He's went through everybody. He's not went up against Sheamus. He's not went up against Gunther either. But that's not going to happen. No. But Sheamus he's not yet got up against, and he done the 3 pay-per-views with Kevin Owens. He done the trifecta. Yeah. If he does do,
there were 3 matches between him and Kevin Owens, so it's not like it would be a new feud. I still believe Owens and Zayn will go for the tag titles at WrestleMania. It would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Quite how you get Sami Zayn there at the moment, though. I can't look past this Sami Zayn thing.
He has to get kicked out somehow.
But I can't look past the fact that the fans don't want him to.
Yeah.
And this thing that's meant to be this massive babyface move would get booed out the building.
Yeah.
Because he got booed when he was ejected.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they don't want him kicked out of the bloodline. Maybe they want him to break the bloodline from the inside. It's a possibility.
Yeah, but how careful have you got to be in that booking then? Sheamus beat Reigns when he cashed in for the title. Yeah, this was the thing. Sheamus, other than Brock Lesnar, I think the only
2016? No, 2015. Sorry, it was 2015 Survivor Series because he speared Triple H then and he got 2 brogue kicks. But they had the 2 matches on Raw, the 5-minute match, and then they had the New Year one where Reigns won, and then he was told you're defending the title in the Royal Rumble. They haven't went up against each other since.
Yeah, now that would be a swerve if they just went, okay, there's no opponent at the Rumble, Reigns defends the title.
And we all know that he wouldn't do it.
Well, Roman would win.
Yeah, unfortunately, he would win that Rumble and then nobody would like it, except his stupid fans.
Unless Cody was then to return at the end of the show.
and then what just pops in just while I'm here. Could
Well,
work.
yeah, I mean that would be a bit sort of like the Ronda Rousey thing, where she popped out at the end of the Royal Rumble
You could
after the
also have
winner's been decided.
you could also have Rock return during the Rumble as well if the world title's on the line.
Yeah,
Universal, if it's on the line, like he could easily appear and say, "Well,
many directions they can go, but I think the one clear direction on this night, especially if we're predicting Damage Control to win one, I don't think they'd have the heels win both.
so you agreeing with me then?"
But part of me doesn't want to, just because, you know, we want predictions to be a contest. I'll say the Bloodline purely for that. Don't bet against Roman Reigns. Let's just say that Roman Reigns pins Drew. And I'm literally saying that because we need a competition. So I do think Brawling Brutes are going to win, but we need a competition. We need something to separate us on this night. And yeah, Bloodline's probably the best chance at it because it's Roman Reigns. And don't bet against Roman Reigns. Don't bet against Charlotte Flair. Don't bet against the Elite. The Elite failed me. Let's see if Roman Reigns does. Nick Aldis to go against Reigns. People won't know who he is, I don't think, about. This was what I spoke about last week, 2 weeks ago. I think it was just last week. Nick Aldis. People won't know who he is. He won't get nearly as over as Sami Zayn.
Yeah. He wants Karrion Kross anyway. He wants the feud that he actually built with him through Twitter. You're going to get Kross versus Aldis, but I wouldn't mind Aldis in the Royal Rumble where the feud begins.
Yeah. Do you think that Bray Wyatt's returns maybe hampered Kross a little bit?
Yeah.
But I'm loving the stuff between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But it has hampered Kross a little bit because he's like, oh, I'm the spooky dark heel, but I'm not as spooky as Bray. So
yeah,
I suppose he needs to go more of a killer direction, you could say, huh?
Could do. He certainly could do that.
Did you get the pun?
Yeah, Killer Kross.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is our War Games predictions. Now, two of three men on this card, one of them isn't on it. There's something maybe slightly important about them. Obviously, one of them's in a triple threat. One of them I've just backed to win the War Games. And the third just lost his title in AEW. 10 years, a decade. If you feel old, it's okay. I feel old as well. The Shield turn 10, despite being broken before they were 3. Maybe even before they were 2. I'd have to get the months right. But of course, the Shield they debuted 10 years ago. And we just wanted to make a quick mention. I mean, in terms of all-time stables, Reece, where do you put the Shield?
Definitely not in the top 5. Definitely not. But I would say they deserve a mention of top 10.
Fair. Now, of the ones that you've watched, I imagine that would be the same sort of thing because you are a historian.
Mm-hmm.
So that is of the ones that I've seen, I think I could name sort of 5 better. Obviously, they were quite short-lived, but what I found about the Shield is they were always exciting.
Yeah.
It was always something like, oh, the Shield are here. You know, it was like, oh, let's go. And, you know, they had everything. They had the theme. They had the aesthetic. It was everything to make you go, oh, let's go. The Shield's here. That's why they brought them back. That's why there were special iterations of the Shield. That's why they sold merch like a mother fluffer. You know, like they were just very, very popular. I think in terms of the modern day faction, you talk about the New Day probably being better. And then you're kind of struggling. Because I mean, I certainly don't prefer the Elite to the Shield. I spoke last week about how I'd like John Moxley to come back. I'm not sure I'd want the Shield to form again, but I think all three of them are better than the Elite. So in terms of the Shield, and guys in the comments get involved, what's your favourite, just looking back, what's your favourite Shield moment, favourite Shield match? One I watched the other day was the first meeting of the Shield and the Wyatt family.
It's a good match, that one. I did like the involvement of it. For me, it's probably my best moment, 100%, is Seth Rollins turning on the Shield. 100%, that'll always be my favourite moment. It's the best one by far. Favourite match, it's Shield versus Evolution 2. And my worst Shield moment is...
Yeah, there's a bull. Shield versus Wyatt family. Yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
my worst Shield moment is actually the Royal Rumble 2013.
Ah.
Not because it's the fact they're taking out The Rock, but I didn't like the involvement of how they done it. Like, I know it was obviously, if the Shield got involved, like, Punk would be stripped of his title and it'd be stripped. There'd be no champion. But they shouldn't have done it in the dark. They should have just been, well, if the Shield are definitely involved, then just get it over and done with. Show that they're putting The Rock through the table, because they've already done the triple powerbomb 2 nights before on SmackDown.
Yeah, when they put all the lights out and we were supposed to be like, oh, who did that?
Because they're automatically assuming it's the Shield, but anybody at the time was doing a powerbomb.
Maybe JBL picked him up.
There were so many people.
JBL even there at the time? I don't know.
Yeah, he was on commentary because he said, "What's he going to do to beat this guy?"
Yeah, JBL got up and hit the powerbomb.
Like, so many people in 2013 were doing the powerbomb that for Vince McMahon to just automatically assume it was a Shield, it's like it derails it in a way. So that's probably my worst Shield moment.
I think if it didn't make me cry, it was very close. Was the night Roman Reigns obviously came out. I mean, we are counting it. The Shield were long gone, but this was a moment of, like, you know, gone but never forgotten. If you remember the night Roman Reigns relinquished the title due to his very real battle with leukemia, and he gets to the ramp, and Seth and Dean come out, and those three hug, and your heart just breaks for them.
That was a great moment.
Like, absolutely. And then, of course, you know, the shocking turn later that night where they'll win the tag titles. They did it for Roman, and then Dean turns around, hits 30 deeds, and That's probably
the biggest swerve of the Shield.
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger swerve than Rollins with the chair shot. Because
Rollins with the chair shot was, it's such a great line when Triple H is like, "You always have a plan B," and he's like reeling up to do it. Everything. It's like, just.
But nobody saw Moxley. Well, Moxley now, but nobody saw Dean Ambrose turning on Seth Rollins. Especially
my jaw was on the floor. My jaw was on the floor when they won it. I was like, "Oh yes, that's brilliant." The Shielder, because it's like instant as well. It's like 7 seconds or whatever. It's like they've won it. They left the belts, and Dean just turns around, kicks him 30 deeds. You're like, what is going on?
I actually have another worst moment of the Shield. I just thought of it.
I mean, are you counting the feud after? Because the feud after deserves to be one of the worst moments.
Yeah.
Several moments. But
wearing the fucking gas mask was really...
I was thinking the promo where he's getting the injections in the rear end, it's probably... That's when I went, yeah, no wonder he wants to leave.
Yeah, that was too far. I also think as well another best moment is probably Ambrose versus Ambrose versus Rollins Hell in a Cell. Because that was totally different.
Yeah, and of course would be just bullish, not to mention Battleground.
That was a brilliant.
All three of them held the belt on the same night. That was really, you know, they'd all been around that picture. That was the night where you went, oh, these three could be your main event for the next decade. These three will run wrestling for the next decade, and so far it's proven to be the case.
Yeah,
you know, you got
one guy. You had Money in the Bank, you had Ambrose winning it. You had Rollins beating Reigns for the title, and then
Money
Ambrose
in the Bank even the night that it happened, and
But
then
Battle-
it built the
Battleground.
Battleground Shield triple threat. That's what I meant.
and Ambrose pins Reigns of all people as well.
Yeah, I like Rollins pinning Reigns, and Ambrose cashed in on Rollins to win.
Yeah, that was a surreal moment. And Seth was by far the best out of the three anyway, so
I think he still is.
Yeah.
But
obviously, Sheep will tell you that it's Reigns, but it's not.
Reigns is very good now. He's got a hang on this. I much prefer head of the table to the big dog.
Oh yeah,
Big dog was rubbish. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the guy. Blah 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 blah. Don't care. This
bootleg
is
John
better.
Cena.
This arrogant puffs his chest out, lifts his head up. Just I am the man. I am the head of the table. I run everything, and that's been annoying at times. But booking asks him to go and do that. The booking asked him to go and take the crown off Xavier Woods and make Xavier Woods suffer amnesia so he can't even remember that he's a king. Maybe when they do King of the Ring next time, they'll remember that they did it.
We agree on that, Abdul. There's no need to put the hand on your face emoji. There's okay.
Rollins is miles better than Reigns. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is none of them are outright bad. John Moxley's got some bad tendencies, but as I said at the start of the show, he had one of the matches of the year with MJF at Full Gear. So he's clearly capable of doing it. And of course, he's had opponents like Tanahashi and stuff that he's had decent matches with this year.
Exactly.
So, we can't sleep on John Moxley either. But I think Seth Rollins best in ring by far, and probably the best character as well. But Roman Reigns is definitely on his heels closer when it comes to the best character.
I'm going to the shower.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, we've done Full Gear. We've done Survivor Series. We've done the Shield, and it's only 1 hour 17 minutes
through the past.
And it's 1 hour 17 minutes in. So now you're up, boss.
We're back with another quiz. And if you missed last week's quiz, I won't spoil the score for you. But Reece, the pressure's on, isn't it?
Well, you did well.
The pressure is on you.
I know, I need to do better.
I've been giving you abuse, to be honest, on this show. It is based on how you never seem to pass my quizzes. And it's not true, because you have passed them before. But I hark back to the Iron Man, which you did fail. And we will do another Iron Man. I have something cooking, at least an idea cooking. But we will reveal more on that in the coming week. But
we will.
I have a quiz for you today, Reece.
And I'm in full screen.
And the quiz is aptly to do with War Games, with Survivor Series, and just things related to that.
So just exactly my quiz from last week that I gave you.
Yeah, but we're going to bounce. We're going to bounce NXT, WWE, and maybe even some C-Dub in there as well.
How many questions?
There are 8.
8 questions.
Yeah, and how many marks? So you've got 2. It's at 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's out of 13.
Okay, I'll just note that on my paper as well. I've done like a little dash 13, 1 to 8. Guys, obviously, I'm going to be in full screen. Eilidh will marshal in the live chat as well. So it's over to you, co-host.
Show this man up. Here we go. Right. So, question number 1. Eyes down for your first number. Here we go. The Undisputed Era in the inaugural NXT War Games faced 2 different stables. But who were they?
Okay, so I think
In the inaugural NXT War Games, Undisputed Era faced two stables. But who were they?
might be them. Go through 1 to 8 and then we'll do answers at the end. I think this might be it. I do have an answer though, like for both.
All right, so we'll
I
go
know
through the
one of them.
answers at the end. So, people, you have more time to get your answers in the comments. Perfect. Right.
Yeah.
So, question number 2. AEW hosts their own version of the War Games match, but what do they call theirs? And Abul has put an answer for the first one. So, as I say, I will reveal it at the end of the questions. So, question number 2. AEW hosts their own version of the War Games match, but what do they call theirs?
I'm just trying to remember in my head because it's been a while.
Abul in with an answer again. This is a compelling head-to-head.
Yeah,
What Reece doesn't know, Abul, is if you beat him, you take his place next week. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. If he does, I'll let him have some fun.
We couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Putting an answer for number 2, and I will move on.
I can't remember top of my head, to be honest. So I'll just leave it.
Ooh, okay.
It's been a while since I've watched the match, so
Fair
there's
enough.
no.
Abul has put an answer, which I will reveal for him at the end. I'll reveal for you as well, of course. So,
But I do have both teams for the first one anyway. I do have the two teams.
So, question 3. In 2013, the Shield competed in the traditional 5-on-5 tag match, but who were their other partners?
$2013.
Yeah, in 2013, the Shield competed in the traditional 5-on-5 tag match, but who were the other partners? And ever the professional, I'm just going to make sure that question right. Because it's very possible to have a typo at any point, but let's see. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. That's what I do, people. Transparency in the answers. Abul has put his answer in.
I've got mine.
And Reece has put his answer in. Here we go. Yeah. This is compelling viewing. Yeah. So here we go. Question number 4. For the next 3 questions, I'm going to read the match and you tell me the year. You don't have to tell me the show, but you tell me the year.
Ooh, okay.
So, and they will all be War Games matches.
Thought so. Okay.
So, Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and the Nasty Boys versus the Stud Stable.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It would, in my opinion, I think it would have been this year. For me, it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to say this.
Should I, for the benefit of not only yourself but the audience participating as well, should I read the names in the stud stable?
Yeah, I think you should for them, yeah.
So, the stud stable consists of Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, Bunkhouse Buck, and
Yep.
Colonel Robert Parker.
Yeah, that reiterated what the year I've went for. Yep.
So the match is Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags, versus the stud stable, Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, Bunkhouse Buck, and Colonel Robert Parker. We have a guess in from Abul. You sound like you put your answer down.
I've got mine, yeah. And I've also, funnily enough, because you know what my memory's like, it does hit me from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the AEW one has actually just hit me, so I've managed to add my answer for the second.
Right, yeah, clever.
So it's got me. But yeah, I do have a year based on the war games because there's been so many of them. Obviously, I revealed the exact number last week, so I don't think it's a later one because obviously the Nasty Boys obviously are a very good clue. So that's why I've gone for a particular.
It's amazing, just as a disgusting young fan such as myself, see digging back, writing questions about WCW.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable how mad this all seems to me, and it's just stuff that the older fans are so used to. I'm like, how could you watch WCW? I don't know what. Maybe one day you can recommend some stuff and I'll check it. I've seen the odd matches.
Watch the pay-per-views from 1996 and 1997. Some of them in 1998.
I'd probably want to see it while it's good before it gets Russo'd.
Yes, so up until watch the three big years, 96 to the end of 1998. And then for 1999, just watch up until I would say Halloween Havoc. After that, fuck it. The rest of WCW. After Halloween Havoc is the end of WCW for me. The rest of 1999 onwards, forget it.
Will this match be before or after Halloween Havoc? Let's find out. Question number 5. So once again, I'm going to read the participants of this War Games match, and you will tell me the year. Right or wrong, that is yet to be seen. So we have the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, and Steve Williams with Paul Ellering and Jim Cornette versus the Fabulous Freebirds, Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin, and Terry Gordy, and the Samoan SWAT team, Samu and Fatu, with Paul E. Dangerously.
Yes.
You are emphatic in your actions, my friend. What's gone on?
This is one of the best War Games matches of all time.
Right. Okay.
And the reason why is the match ending. Watch it and you'll see why.
It's 89. Get me. Oh, I'll just give you the answer.
I already had the answer because I knew the year.
So what's good is you answered it. So that's fine.
And I watched it last night.
There you go. We've revealed an answer, but I had already asked the question. So it's not like I've revealed anything to him. It's 89. So you're unlikely to get me to watch that, Reece.
You should watch it though, honestly. It's fantastic.
It's my young brain. I don't like the thought of going back that far.
The best War Games match to watch though is it's the match from 1992 Wrestle War.
Again, we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe
I'll get Greg sat down and we'll check out some dub at some point.
It's the team managed again by Paul Heyman. It's the Dangerous Alliance, which includes Steve Austin and Rick Rude. And you've also got Bob Eaton versus Sting's Alliance. Fantastic match. It's
You're
regarded
a proper
as
WCW nerd, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
properly wired into WCW the way I'm
Yeah.
wired in NXT.
yeah. But it's
Mental.
pure in the sense that it's regarded as the best War Games match of all time. Wrestle War 1992.
Yeah, I mean that makes me feel like you're much older than we actually are apart. Because obviously my wrestling sort of forte is now in terms of knowing what's going on in AEW
Yeah.
and the NXT Black and Gold. And
Mm-hmm.
yours seems to be 25 years ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago, actually, for the match you just recommended.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is something. Anyway, on to the final question of this type, where I'm going to read the participants, and you will tell me the year, and I will try and keep the answer till the end. But I know you already had that, considering you were fist bumping as I read it. So, you know.
Yeah.
So, this match is the Undisputed Era versus Tommaso Ciampa, Dominic Dijakovic, Keith Lee,
Go on,
and
it's got to be.
Kevin Owens.
Yes.
So again, Abul and anyone watching on in the comments looking to put their answers in. I'm looking for the year that match happened. So the Undisputed Era, you know the four of them, versus Tommaso Ciampa, Dominic Dijakovic, Keith Lee, and Kevin Owens. Tommaso Ciampa wasn't in it twice.
He was only in it once.
Yes. I just meant that match because I read his name twice. Era versus Ciampa, Owens, Dijakovic, and Lee.
Yep. And it's honestly one of my favourite takeovers. Because it's also
his guess in.
The takeover main event as well was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I loved the War Games takeover before.
And sadly we'll never get it again. Because that's it. That's the end of takeover on NXT. It's exclusive to the main roster now.
Yeah, I mean they did War Games this year, but it was just called that, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it's now staying on the main roster now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't even remember it being that good.
Yeah, it was awful.
Anyway, so we'll drop that and we'll come to the next question. True or false? In every iteration of the men's NXT War Games match, the Undisputed Era took part. True or false? In every iteration of the men's War Games match on NXT, the Undisputed Era took part. True or false?
That's a good question, actually.
Coming in with a rebuttal to your Ric Flair nonsense from last week. Get that out of here.
Yeah, 16 times. The 16-time world champion has competed inside War Games, which completely caught you offside.
Yeah, it absolutely did. So, Abul has his answer in. Reece,
I've got my answer.
I was hoping you'd have an answer, as it's literally a 50-50.
Yep.
So, this could potentially give away the answer to the previous one. So, I want you to know that answer is now locked, whatever you did. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, understood.
Because I want you to name Team Black and Gold from the 2021 War Games. I want you to name who was in Team Black and Gold. Now, I didn't realise we weren't going through answers one by one. Obviously, this one could potentially give away the answer to the previous one. But I can see Abul's answer, and I know you are a man of integrity, so you're not going to go faffing around with your answer now, if it even needs faffed with. What I want to know, Abul, and anyone watching in the comments, and Reece, just as a reminder, I want to know Team Black and Gold from the 2021 War Games.
Was that 4-on-4 or was that 5-on-5?
It was a 4-on-4.
Yeah, I thought so. I've got my 4.
Abul has his 4.
Yep, I'm ready to go. And I actually know that team, funnily enough.
Perfect.
So is that a point for each member? Or do you need to get all 4 to get the point?
The answer to... yeah, point for each member.
Okay.
As ever, point for each answer you gave, pretty much. Because, of course, there's one where you need to name 2 people, so a mark for each person. We'll go through it with the marking. We'll go through it.
Okay.
So,
but I am ready to go.
It's question number 1. Was Undisputed Era went head-to-head as they went up against 2 stables in the inaugural NXT War Games match. Who were the other 2 stables?
I believe one of them is one of my all-time favorite NXT teams. That's the Authors of Pain, and the other one, their original tag name, I believe it was the War Raiders.
You're 1 out of 2.
I thought it was War Raiders and Authors of Pain. Who's the other team then?
You're too soon for War Raiders.
All right, who's the other one then?
Sanity.
Wasn't? Oh yeah, who's it? Killian Dane and Eric Young.
Killian Dane, Eric Young, and Alexander Wolf.
Oh, because it was a 5-on-5 at that point.
It was 3v3v3.
Oh, so it was
for that first year.
So it was, yeah.
Because Abu there telling it like it is, Sanity, Authors of Pain, and Undisputed Era, and they'd be thinking, well, there were only 2 Authors of Pain. Who was the third Author of Pain on that night? You didn't have to name this. You just had to name the tag. It was Roderick Strong.
Before he went and joined the Undisputed Era.
Roderick Strong put on his camel gear and like a cute little soldier wandered into war. To be honest, one of the matches where I went, oh, Roderick Strong's the real deal, isn't he? I thought he was really good in that match. But yeah, so it was Sanity and AOP. So you were right about Authors of Pain, but no dice on the Viking Raiders, I'm afraid. Right. Question 2, you said this one came back to you. AEW hosts their own version of the War Games match, but what do they call it?
Blood and Guts.
Blood and Guts is correct. Abul also put Blood and Guts. So that's 1 for Abul and 1 for you as well. Question 3, I think this is a tough one, this.
No, it's not.
In 2013, the Shield competed in the 5-on-5 tag match. But who were the other partners?
Point for each?
Yeah, point for each.
It's the Real Americans, Jack Swagger and Cesaro.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Abul also put that. So maybe I'm the only person who doesn't remember it.
It was boring.
I was like, I'm looking for a question to do with the Shield.
Yeah,
a match that I totally couldn't remember. Anyway, so yeah. Abul so far is absolutely perfect, by the way. 5 out of 5.
That's about to change.
Well, this is the one that I haven't yet revealed the year on. This was Name the Year. Dusty and the Nasty Boys versus the Stud Stable. What year did you put, Reece?
I had 1988.
It's no marks for you. It's
Was it
also
not?
no marks for Abu. I'm not awarding a mark for this. If I was awarding for closest, it would be Abu. Because Abu
1991.
said 95.
So it would have been 1993 then.
It was 1994 at the Fall Brawl.
I was going to say, I knew it was that period. I was thinking 88 because they were in the very early ones. Like,
Would Dustin have been active in 88? I don't know, honestly. It's
not
about
as much.
WW.
Not as much, but it's Dusty Rhodes, so I'm not surprised. Fair enough.
Bit of nepotism, as he would say, maybe.
Yeah, but obviously the fifth one was easy. It is 1989. Like, I already knew that one anyway.
Yeah, question 5, 1989 was indeed the answer. Abu, you put 1990, so again, 1 year out. Like both times,
I'm getting
1 year
yeah.
out.
Now we can close in on this one.
Yeah. So, question number 6 was Era versus Ciampa, Owens, Dijakovic, and Lee. The year was
Takeover 2019.
2019. You said it. Abu said it. It's right. Fantastic. So, if I'm counting this right, you've both dropped 2 marks.
Wait, what?
Like you've both dropped
2 marks?
Yeah. Your 1988 was wrong, and you didn't get sanity.
All right, so we both dropped 2 points. Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah,
I thought you meant 2 points.
You've both dropped 2 points.
Yeah,
It comes
so
down
we'll see.
to this. The last 2. Are we going to get a tie? I might have to have a tiebreaker. I don't have one ready.
We'll see. But I'm just saying it now. 4-7, I put false.
Okay. For 7, you've put false. For 7, Abu put false. And for 7, it is false. Now, I thought we were going through it answer by answer, which is why this question directly answers the previous one. But I know Abu didn't cheat, and Reece, I know you didn't either.
Yeah.
So, question number 8, the thing that could make or break you. Name Team Black and Gold from the 2021 War Games match. So, Black and Gold, clear, they went up against 2.0.
And lost because a certain great man got the pinfall on Ciampa.
Yes.
So yeah, my team, I've got obviously Tommaso Ciampa.
Mm-hmm.
His final NXT appearance in Johnny Gargano.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Kyle O'Reilly. That I could remember. That could
Kyle
remember.
O'Reilly, LA Knight, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. Abul has put Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, LA Knight, and Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, I don't think was there that night. That I can remember.
Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, LA Knight, and Pete Dunne.
Was it?
Pete Dunne had been in an issue with Tony D'Angelo. So Pete Dunne was in there.
Not bad.
So Reece with a 10 out of 13. Abu with an 11. 11, Abu. And you were only a year out on both the ones you got wrong. I mean, if I counted your answers right, which I think I have. Yeah, I have. So, Abu with an 11. Fantastic. Reece with a 10. You passed the quiz. You gotta be fairly happy with that.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right. Well, as we approach 1:45, thank you very much. As we approach 1:45, I'll allow you to exit the full screen and take us home, buddy.
Yep. So great stream from us. Another fun, fantabulous show, and of course we will be back next Saturday, same time to review War Games. Purely that. Hopefully see where Raw and SmackDown leaves us. Will we get something exciting or will it be boring? But apart from that, it's been a very good show. Everyone that's watched, thank you very much. Abul, well done on winning today's quiz. If you want to watch the watch along, be prepared because I'll be testing Keen. He's not going to like it.
Ooh.
And I don't care what he says. He will go through it. But apart from that, it's been a good stream. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next Saturday at 4. And if you didn't like today's show, then go and submit. Bye, folks.